some more around the implications of what we've seen happen in Cape Town since Thursday, what could be expected, but more importantly, just the state of play around law enforcement, or the lack thereof, in the mother city, and specifically in what some would flippantly call the ganglands here. I'm joined by the Social Justice Coalition's Ntutuzelo Vika, who has kindly agreed to come and speak to us very early on a Saturday morning in the mother city. Ntutuzelo, thank you so much for coming in to speak to us this morning. Unfortunately, the Social Justice Coalition would probably have been sitting with their head in their hands as they watch the news transpire since Thursday, the killing of a man known as Bali Tips, a leading member of the Hard Livings gang, Rashied Staggie, gunned down yesterday. I remember speaking to colleagues of yours just a few months ago when news came through that the decision was being made that the SANDF was going to be deployed in the gang-ravaged parts, especially of the Cape Flats. And your organisation was of the view that this is merely going to be a plaster for a short period of time. And indeed, it's a good thing that it would have made local residents feel safe. Once the SANDF leaves, we'll be back to square one. Do you believe that that's exactly what's happened now?
It's a very difficult issue, because now the SANDF is not really working according to what they're supposed to do. I've heard they just been closing taverns, beating people, not really doing what they were supposed to do, like in terms of preventing crime and make sure the community feels safe, so the community feel intimidated by them. But there's no communication, there's no proper talk on what's happening, how are they working with the people.
Now, your organisation has been very outspoken about the core issues that is really keeping back the possibility of law enforcement making inroads in making people feel safer, and to try and dent the hold that the gangs have in very big parts of the mother city. Now, some who don't know the city will say, oh, but that's a problem for the Cape Flats. But the activities on the Cape Flats stretch across the city. Salt River is not on the Cape Flats. It's just down the road from where we are in Salt River. The gangs that we know of have a network of business that stretches into the suburbs, towards the Atlantic seaboard, from coast to coast, and even so far into the Boerland. You have made very important points about the lack of research that's going into how law enforcement deploys its resources, and that especially underprivileged areas where crime is even more rampant, they are not deploying the right amount of resources to make those communities feel safer.
Yes, they are not. We have filed a case. We've been speaking about this for a very long time. You see, there's very few police in Khayelitsha, especially where crime is more. And you feel that the city of Cape Town has been deploying more police and more special services and police stations to an area where crime is not more. So
and that just doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't make sense. It's also like they don't know how to. And they don't know how to deal with these things. It's just to kind of run away from the responsibility of trying to address the issues, and also to being able to speak to us and to come and say, okay, HSC, how can we work together? Because we've been on the ground, we know how these things works. We've been speaking to people. Also, people know where crime is. We know we've identified the hotspots. You see, there's rape happening in township every day. You see, and there are also crimes that are not even reported. You see.
Now you've also spoken about very practical things that are not happening. Public lighting. There's so many areas in our underprivileged areas and our poorer areas of what's known as a world-renowned, beautiful tourism city, where they don't have just enough lighting in the road so that people can feel safe when they have to walk home. And now with load shedding, it's even more so. There's not CCTV cameras. There are more CCTV cameras in better hilled, leafy suburbs than there are in the poorer areas. Those are practical things that the authorities can do something about.
Yes, they're practical things, and also they're also things that are not very difficult. They don't need a lot of budget, and also so the city has been saying there are no streets to put the street lights. But if you go to Khayelitsha, we've done like walks, we've done marches during the night. And it's also not even about street lights. Sometimes it's about the feeling of people not feeling safe walking around. So even besides the fact that being robbed or women being raped, but that's the feeling of not feeling safe in your own country in this time of in our democracy.
Now, what we've seen happen over the last 2 days, we've had these 2 high-profile killings happening.
Yeah.
Many people who live in the areas where these gangs are very active are saying,
Yeah.
that's it, we're shutting our doors, we're shutting our windows, we have to keep our heads down. They're expecting a spike in a gang-related crime. What are you hearing from people on the ground?
People are very scared, obviously. You see? And also people don't have faith on the police. They don't have faith in the police, they don't have faith in the city. Because you don't know what tomorrow might happen. And these things are getting worse. We speak about gang violence, but they are more organized. You see? So they calculate their moves, they know how to move, they know the jurisdiction of the police, they know how far they can go. So they know how to maneuver the system. You see? So it's like they are on the upper hand. You know, and people are very scared because they see these gangs, they are very powerful, and they feel like the city or the government cannot really deal with them.
Okay, very concerning that. Thank you so much. I'm going to take the umbrella here from my colleague as the rain has come down. Social Justice Coalition's Mtutuzelo Vika. Apologies, joining us live here and giving us some insight on what they're hearing from communities on the ground as they brace themselves for what they expect to be a violent upswing in crime-related activities in connection to gangs especially. We'll leave it there with him for now.